This is Shot Put. It's me Brawler's only projectile, and it's one of 3 choices you can have for a neutral special, alongside Flashing Mach Punch and being a simple ball that travels in an arc. It resembles the projectiles held by Mario or Pikachu. These moves are useful both offensively and defensively, which give these otherwise short-range characters something to do from a distance. Unfortunately, Shot Put's frame data leaves it not so blessed. Whereas these projectiles come out fast and finish in well under a second, Shot Put takes about 50% longer to start and over a second to finish. This slowness makes Shot Put hard to use in neutral, as it provides more than enough time for the opponent to see what you're up to and to close in. This is made even easier by the fact that Brawler throws the ball over his head, allowing for smaller, even normal-sized characters to run directly forward for a punish. So, if Shot Put isn't useful approaching or defending, what's it supposed to be used for? Well, looking at the damage values of these kinds of projectiles, most do a solid 7% damage or so. Pichu's T-Jolt stands out, doing a sizable 12. Shot Put does 18. 18. As it turns out, to nobody's surprise, an 18% projectile is incredible for edge guarding. A tool like this would be good on anyone, but it's especially good on Brawlers, who's pretty restricted in his offstage game. It's not to say that it can't edge guard, but being threatening from this far away is a luxury that any fighter would appreciate. Better yet, Shot Put will only lose power if it hits a wall or a floor, unlike other projectiles that get weaker over time. And because this thing falls faster than every other fireball, Brawler can bring the full threat of Shot Put almost anywhere he wants. And let's just be honest, waiting for the opponent to get back to the ledge is boring. Downtime sucks. I'm not waiting for someone to get back. I paid money to play the game. Even when someone's deep off stage, Shot Put provides the opportunity to apply heavy pressure from a great distance. And when I said Brawler can put this thing anywhere he wants, I mean it.
Bad game of offstage is, but it's like,
Oh my god.
what the hell was that?
As we said before, Brawler doesn't shoot the ball in front of him, but overhead. This might seem like a cosmetic thing, but it gives Shot Put some immediate reach that the other projectiles just don't get. If Mario wanted to put a fireball here, he would have to shoot along this path, either way closer or way higher up. The absurd damage and speed forces an insane degree of respect on the part of the opponent. This can put players into uncomfortable courses back on stage where they're more vulnerable to being hit by you. Like, take a look at this clip. I just got this Cloud off stage, and having nothing better to do, I throw out a Shot Put. Cloud sees it coming, sees his damage, knows that he absolutely cannot take that hit, and does everything he can to avoid it. I respond with an F-tilt, throwing him back off stage, and chuck another ball at him. Cloud, now with no jump and seeing the Shot Put lining up with its drift again, realizes that air dodging might put him too low to recover. He's forced into spending limit early, I respond with an up smash, Cloud dies, and I win. Of course, players aren't restricted to just air dodge and jump. Some may try to time their aerials or recoveries to clink with Shot Put and avoid the damage. This can work pretty well, as long as the move is strong enough. I need to explain something here. If 2 moves' base damage is within 9% of each other, then they cancel out. Any greater, and the stronger one wins. Note that I said base damage. That's because in a 1v1, all damage is multiplied by 1.2. So the 9% rule becomes more of a 10.8% rule in practice. If you ever want to know a move's base damage, ult frame data lists the non-multiplied value under the moves. Also, this number is affected by scaling. But anyways, Shot Put doing like 1 billion damage asks a lot of anything it comes into contact with. If the damage of whatever it's hitting isn't over 7.2, it's gonna overpower. This is surprisingly demanding, and not a lot of recoveries clear the bar. Unless you really know what you're doing, trying to clink with Shot Put is a risky play that could just get you killed, so more mobile characters opt to move around it instead. This rule doesn't just apply off stage, by the way. Take a look at this technique, the Blizz Wall. This is how ice climbers stuff out approaches from short range characters, and it's really hard for most of them to deal with. Shot put, however, is a beast. By taking advantage of shot put's massive damage difference, you can force ice climbers to actually play the game. And have I mentioned it's just fun to hit this thing? The craziest part is that all this time, I've only been talking about the move's intended purpose. I haven't even gotten into all the weird shit that happens when it hits the floor. Earlier on, I mentioned that shot put gets weaker when it hits a surface, but I didn't go into what a weak shot put is. So when shot put bounces, two things happen to it. One, its damage and knockback are reduced. Hard. Like a bounced ball barely sends off stage hard. The most obvious application of a weak, low knockback projectile is to start combos, which Brawler has no shortage of. But because of shot put's frame data, these opportunities are less consistent setup and more, fuck it, I got nothing else to do here. 2. The invisible hurtbox turns on. Yeah. Something I haven't mentioned so far is that shot put has a hurtbox, like an actual takes attacks hurtbox. Now, do you know the amount of stupid bullshit that being able to spawn a hurtbox enables?
It's not even like I don't have...
Believe it or not, there are actually some situations where it's better to have the ball be dead. For instance, Samus's max charge neutral B overpowers shot put because of the 9% rule. Shot put just doesn't do enough damage to tank it. However, look at what happens when we bounce shot put. Yep, shot put, despite doing even less damage, tanked charge shot. This is because when shot put is weak, moves stop interacting with the hitbox and instead interact with its hurtbox. When this happens, you can pretty much throw the 9% rule out of the window. It wouldn't matter if charge shot did 2 or 200 damage, because it's programmed to despawn when it hits a hurtbox. This is also why Wolf's Blaster will ignore a normal shot put, but despawn when it hits a weak one. And that's just the beginning. Here's a lot of smaller interactions. Min Min's arms are programmed to rebound when they collide with a hurtbox. This means she has to move her arms around shot put even when it's not moving. Ram Ram doesn't have this restriction, though. Explosives and follow-ups trigger on hurtboxes, which messes with interactions in unexpected ways. In this clip, I stopped Banjo from picking up his own grenade by blowing it up. And in this clip, I prematurely detonate Kaboom, letting me ride the windbox while shielding. Normally, hitting a bounce shot put disables its hitbox, preventing it from doing any more damage. But this only happens after the hit stop, meaning that multi-hits can keep shot put perpetually active as long as there aren't any gaps between hits. You can set this up reliably against Piranha Plant. Just throw a ball into Poison Cloud and it becomes off limits to him. You can also do this against PK Fire, but it's a lot more unreliable. To cap off the video, here's what's probably the most absurd, precise, and impractical shot put technique ever. The shot parry. Remember how shot put takes forever to be thrown? Well, the projectile itself is actually spawned on frame 1, behind Brawler's head. Before firing, it has all the same properties as when it's on the ground, which means, with proper timing and positioning, projectiles can collide with the startup of the move. This is silly on its own, but that's not all. For a true shot parry, get this interaction within the first few frames of shot put startup, and then be reverse. If done correctly, you'll throw the ball that was just used to tank a projectile at the person who just fired it. I have never seen this done in bracket.